The Callisto protocol will bite my head off. And to that I say, well, I'm waiting. I mean, not waiting that much more, but it is truly one of my most anticipated titles of the year and probably the last one I'll buy in 2022. Now, the title of this video is more like a compliment to what the Callisto protocol is expected to do to me, and that is put me back in some survival or goodness. This is a warm reception to what I believe to be a much needed game for the horror genre, one that has an actual promising story and deviates from what is being done in recent times. I normally have a really positive way of seeing gaming in general, focusing on what's important to me and leaving what is not out of my mind. That will continue to be the case, but to get my point across, I have to say that there's been too much horror-related stuff that is simply not good. How many first-person horror games have you seen lately that try to copy so bad one another? And they just keep coming, especially in the indie side of things. But for me, it just comes out as something soulless, something that has no real identity and is filled with cheap jump scares and it never grabs you completely. There are good ones, however, amazing even, and those may have a simple base structure but build upon that and end up being way more interesting at least. They are rare though. And the same happens with the Callisto protocol. You have already seen some similarities in it, and not just compared to Dead Space, but all the games that Dead Space was inspired by. But the Callisto protocol is coming out at a time that makes it stand out because it really is different from the other horror games and it's more action oriented. And instead of thinking about it as a copy of Dead Space, I think we should think of it as a game created by the mind behind Dead Space. And that may seem like the same thing, but this is a case of constants and variables, and using those constants in a smart way. I still believe Dead Space did a lot ahead of its time, and picking up some of the stuff envisioned by Glenn Schofield, like the minimalistic HUD, and applying them to a new game is totally okay. It's like keeping what makes sense to keep while trimming the fat. There are of course a lot of similarities because in the end, it is the same person who's directing it. And everyone has its own personality and taste, so it is natural that Glenn wants to make more of what he likes. The Callisto protocol takes a step further regarding gore and brutality. This is something present in Dead Space, but being this much more aggressive also has an effect on combat and how the gameplay functions. To begin with, it focuses more on melee combat. And this is quite an important topic because you won't be shooting from afar that much, keeping you close to the action so you can have this intimate contact with the enemies while you attack them. This difference fundamentally changes the entire feel of the game in comparison to Dead Space, even having a dodge button which gives you an opportunity window to strike them back, almost like a dance. You'll also have the grip, which is basically a telekinetic tool, but this time around it'll be utilized in a more brutal way, making use of the environment to annihilate your enemies. And to make all of this even better, the game just looks fantastic, and for the gore to work so well, I think this must have been one of their priorities. I love the environments, the wetness, the disgusting organic stuff all over the place, the lighting variations from one room to the other, and then the exteriors with the great vistas of outer space. It's breathtaking. I can't quite tell how the audio is going to be, but I have a feeling it'll be unsettling. And from what I've heard from hands-on preview videos, the soundscape will make you think anything can happen at any given time, and the combat will be complemented with crunchy, mechanical and visceral sound effects. What I wasn't expecting though was to have such a beautiful launch trailer. The trailer is a mix of gameplay and story moments, but it shines even brighter with the music that was used in it. You feel the weight of the words, the delivery of the actors, the intensity of each scene. It's overwhelming and really emotional. So much so that for moments I stopped breathing.
This whole prison's infected.
And I'm not joking, the way it's edited is super powerful and contrasting, because you don't feel scared. You feel empty and alone, even with so many characters making an appearance. I can see how this game is beyond the scope of basic horror. It'll try to mess with your mind in a certain way, and there's much that the developers aren't showing here, I'm sure. Please, if you haven't, just go watch it. All I'm saying here is that even though the comparisons are inevitable, the Callisto Protocol continues to captivate me with all of the other stuff that's different from Dead Space, and this one game that clearly had a lot of love put into it. You just have to take a look at how Glenn Schofield talks about it and the things he loves. The man has a great passion that needs to be out there for other people to experience. I came across these short videos with his team discussing the game, and all I could think of after watching them is that working with a guy like this must be a blast. You might not know, but I'm a sound designer and composer myself, and having a director criticizing your work this way, with the main goal to achieve the best thing possible and amplify his own vision by letting you make your own suggestions, is a blessing. This is a team's effort, and Glenn is guiding and being guided throughout this journey. I'm so excited for this game, and the fact that it's coming in December has a big impact on me, because believe it or not, I had kind of a ritual playing Dead Space and Dead Space 2 every Christmas, and I couldn't think of any better candidate to take their place for now. I hope it's good. I hope we have lots of fun and terrifying moments with it, and that's what matters the most, really. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed your time with me. I recently got to the 100 subs mark, which is pretty low, and even though it may not seem that much, it is huge to me and I really appreciate it, so I would like to thank you for that too. And I will be waiting for you on the next one.